Go. Oh, go. Get. Go. If you ever had like a gentle lay down and just happened to crack your sight glass, we're gonna go ahead and replace that and show you the best way to do it. So tools we needed were some 2000 grit sandpaper, scissors to cut it, some Loctite 648 retaining compound, 1/4 inch drive ratchet with a 4mm Allen, an 8mm deep set, and 3/8. We're going to need our 8mm, our 10mm extension, and our E-ratchet. A couple tools to scrape the old gasket material off, rubber mallet to break the housing loose, and you're set. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and lay the bike down. You can just drain the oil and do it upright. I just changed the oil, so I don't want to do that. If you do lay it down, I'm going to go ahead and lay down some extra soft shop floor here. We got some styrofoam, cardboard, blankets, anything like that will work. But just kind of keep it a little bit easier on the bike. Watch out. Yeah. There she goes. We're going to go ahead and pull this soft cover off first. So again, you're gonna want to remember the lengths of the bolts, right? So of course there's 4 different lengths here. Long one was here, the short one was on this side, and the 2 mid-sized ones were here. It's gonna be really important for installing this thing. So the best way to remove this cover is just give it a good tap. It should start to come off. Now we got the stator off. So now we're going to move the stator from the cover. Kind of be gentle with this thing. And now there's going to be a little rubber grommet right here that goes over the gasket. Make sure not to damage this when you pull it out. See if we can get the gasket out of the way first. Hopefully I get this thing to pop out without it getting damaged. Let me try to pry it with a screwdriver. There we go. Gotta gently leave her on the bike for now. Remove the gasket. Try to get it in one piece. You might be able to, but you probably won't. Oh, so close. So close. So the key to getting a good seal with any new gasket or any sort of sealing compound, which is what we're going to use today, is a really clean surface. So let's go ahead and scratch up this. Make sure we got all the old gasket material off. We need to get it super clean. In fact, you don't want to polish it too much or it might not seal quite as well. Go ahead and get inside our sight glass orifice here. We're going to go ahead and get it oil free, a little bit of carb cleaner, brake clean, whatever you got, kind of give it a little bit of clean. You don't want any oil anywhere you're going to put this Loctite on because it will not seal. So go ahead and make sure you get it super clean and dry, free of oil. Soak up all that stuff. In fact, I really don't want to get any abrasives on or any sort of contaminants on this Loctite compound, so I'm going to take my gloves off. So we're going to go ahead and take our new sight glass. I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick wipe down just to make sure I get any sort of contaminants off. I'm going to go ahead and do one more on the inside just for good measure. Like I said, you really want this stuff clean. Take my Loctite compound, and KTM recommends the 648 retaining compound for this particular sight glass. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a good shake. Cut the tip off. I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice coat. Nice thin layer here. I'm going to go ahead and push it in from the back side. You'll kind of feel it pop into place. In this case, I will use a seal driver just to get it right where I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and, if you don't have a seal driver, you can also use a socket that happens to fit just right. And it looks like a Impact 13 Snap-on happens to be the ticket today. So let's get it right in here centered. And it looks like we've got her seated in place there. Perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and clean up. There's a little bit of gas material here. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of clean that off of this too. This being the engine, or the housing. I think we're actually gonna need a little bit of help from our X-Acto knife. One thing that happened you really want to watch out for is making sure all these bolt holes are clear of abrasives, because it's going to throw your torque off and it's not going to tighten down the cover properly. I had a piece of gas material fall in there, so really be careful when you're doing this. And if you do get anything in there, make sure you fish it out. I think I got most of it out. I'm just going to go ahead and see how these threads feel, if there's anything left in there. And I think I got at least the majority of it out. Yep, we're looking good. So let's do one final buff on our sealing surface with some 200 grit sandpaper. 2000, excuse me. Again, make sure it's clean. Spray some carb cleaner, brake clean on a piece of rag. Clean all the old abrasives and oil residue off. And we're ready for install. So now let's go ahead and install our stator back on the cover. Just kind of set it in place first. It's going to index on that little groove there. And then we're going to want to line up the bolt holes and press in this rubber seal. You're going to want to make sure the seal goes in right. It's going to feel right. It's going to look right when it's in the right spot. If you don't have it in the right spot, it's going to poke out and it definitely won't seal well. Go ahead and get these guys started. So I believe this thing torques to something like 8 Newton meters or something, which is like 6 foot-pounds. It's like nothing. So we're just gonna go ahead and do our tried and true, snug it up. And 16th to 1/8 turn. Snug it up. 16th to 1/8 turn. Snug it up. 16th to 1/8 turn. So now we're going to go ahead and lay the gasket in place, and be careful because it is directional. You can tell there's a little bit different shape on this side of the gasket than this side, and you can see in the housing it kind of matches that gasket. So when you go ahead and install it, make sure you have it oriented in the correct position. These dowel pins will kind of locate it in place. We're ready to go ahead and set our stator cover back on the engine. Now this is going to be tricky because of the magnetics of the stator. Really be careful not to pinch the gasket at all. And look for any parts of the gasket to be pooching out when you get it installed. Really you want it setting on these dowels. You don't want to just stick the bolts in there and sink it down in there, because it'll crack the housing if it's not perfectly located. And this one is just really fighting me. I might have to pull it back off and give it another shot. There we go. There it is. You hear it kind of pop in place. Go ahead and look around the housing. Make sure the gasket's not pooched in or sticking out. We should be ready to torque it. Again, we had long bolt here. Short bolt up top. No, we didn't. Short bolt was on this side. And the 2 medium-sized bolts on the top and bottom. Go ahead and get them snugged up. So generally when you're installing covers of this nature, you want to tighten everything in a star pattern, meaning you're going to start on one side, give it a little snug, go opposite side, snug it up, other side, and then the side opposite of that. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're kind of gonna make sure this thing kind of snugs up evenly. The torque for these is 10 Newton meters or about 8 foot-pounds. I'm doing the snug and 1/16 of a turn, and we're about where we need to be. Go ahead and put this soft cover back on. And this thing was fun last time if I remember correctly. Oh, that's right. This is gonna index here, of course. There we go. There we go. Now, one other thing to remember is that Loctite, they say sets up in like 12 hours. I've had them leak after that, so I would leave it in this position, free of any oil contamination, for at least 24 hours, and then you're good to go.